You're go.
Okay, guys, it's setting up a meeting for custom streaming.
You're go.
Okay, guys, it's you're go. Okay, guys.
Hello, Facebook. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're just waiting for a couple of more people to join and we'll get started. Thank you all for joining us. All that has joined us on Facebook, all that are joining on Zoom, we really appreciate it. Thank you for all joining in. This will be a great conversation. Thank you for joining us. For all that's on Zoom, can you please just make sure that you put your names in so we can identify who's speaking and who we're speaking to? Thank you very much. Galaxy S9, can you please tell us who you are? Can you put your
Good afternoon, it's Shalitha Nelson.
Hello, Shalitha, how are you?
Fine, how are you for now?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, anytime.
We're just going to give it a couple more minutes before we get started.
I don't cross every T. I don't count it. I got more flaws than a little, and I'm messed up 1,000 times. I don't always commit. Sometimes I give up way too quick, and then I get tired of trying to run away from who I am, to who I wanna be. Some days are better than others. I can be up and down. But beyond my mistakes, found in your grace, there's one thing will never change. You still love me, despite of me. You still chose me. How can it be? Every song, you see it all. You see it all. You still love me. Love me. Oh, in spite of me. In spite of me. Yeah. Stubborn at heart. If you put up a guy. Won't ask for help, and sometimes I'm not smart. I can be insecure. Doubting other people's blessings, and never stop to notice what I got. Yeah. Some days I'm better than others. I can be.
Okay.
You still love me. Love me. You still love me. Inside of me. Inside of me. You still chose me. Can it be? Can it be? Every scar, you see it all. You see it all. You still love me. Love me. Let me hear you say yeah. And can I get a witness? You didn't give me what I deserve. Love so ridiculous. Got me singing hallelujah. Can I get a witness? You didn't give me what I deserve. Love so ridiculous. Got me singing and you still love me. It's part of me. You still chose me. Let it be. Let it be. Yeah. Every scar. Every time you see it all. You still love me. Love choosing. It's hard to believe you have a choice. Night and day, you still choosing. Say it's hard. Oh, you have a choice. So and day, you still choosing. Never gave up on. Never gave up on. Never gave up on. Never gave up. Never gave up. Never gave up. Never gave up. Never gave up on me. You still love me. Suddenly, you still chose me. How can it be? Every song, every song, you see it all. You see it all. You still love me.
Thank you very much. I first want to say thank you to everyone that has joined us today. We really appreciate this, the panel. Let me introduce our panel. Yay. We first have Rebecca Jones. We have Asia Farah. We have Tracy Carter. We have Linda Winstead. We have Malika Tinworthy. And we have me, Vernell Scoville. Everyone, let's give ourselves a hand. Thank you all for joining us again. So today we are here to talk about the resilient woman. First of all, being resilient as a person. We would like Tracy to give us the definition of resilience.
Resilient, able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions.
Can you read that again for us?
Able to withstand and recover quickly from difficult conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, some people have their cameras off, so I don't know who's who really on right now. Hey, Dijon, how are you? Thank you for joining us. So I would like to pose a question to all of us. Do you define yourself as resilient? That's for everyone that's on here today, whether I can see your faces or not. Do you define yourself as resilient? And I would like for, all of us to, you may not want to get on camera, but if you can, we can go one by one and, just say whether or not we find ourselves as resilient. And we can start with, let's see, we'll start with someone by the name of Theris, Theris. Are you there? Hello? Okay, I don't know, something happened there. Okay, so the next person we can ask is Linda. And also everyone, you can put your answer in the chat. If you don't want to unmute yourself, you can put your answer in the chat as well.
Okay, thank you, Sister Vanilla. Yes, I do. I would consider myself resilient. At almost 50 years old, when I think about my life's experiences, I would certainly consider myself to be resilient. And I'm thankful to the women that have been around me, including some of the women here on the panel today.
Thank you very much. And I see Rebecca said yes as well. I see Sade said yes. I see Shanna said, I would consider myself as resilient. Thank you, Shanna. Anyone else?
Yes, I would consider myself resilient.
Thank you.
Same here, I'm resilient.
Thank you very much, Asia. Shikana said yes. And Nicole said yes. And the lady that's with Shikana said yes. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
That's Dallas.
Okay, that's great. So, and I find that I feel that I am resilient as well. And so my next question, Tanira, absolutely, thank you very much. So my next question is, at what point in your lives, at what point in your lives, any of those out there? Are there any no's out there? Okay. So at what point in your lives did you realize the resilience in yourselves? At what point? What took place in your life? At what point? And that you really realized I am resilient. At what point? Whoever wants to go first, you're more than welcome.
I'm going to go first. So some of you know the story that I have, some of you don't. So just briefly, I've been with my husband since I'm 16 years old. So that's a really long time considering my age now. And it wasn't always easy. And what I basically did was go against the grain in my family and choosing to do that. So there was a lot of strife that I encountered. But it was well after I was married that I was still trying to do a balancing act between pleasing my family and what they wanted and then pleasing ourselves as a married couple. And as I say, it was well into being married, almost, I would say 10 years, that I finally realized that you do have to find balance. And in finding that balance, I needed to rely on God. I needed to find, my strength from God so that he could lead me into, are you doing something that's right? Are you doing something that's wrong? Are you not pleasing those who love you? And do they actually really love you if they're making you make a choice? So it was at that point that I realized I am resilient because I've managed to have a very happy marriage, still have a very happy home life with my own family, parents, siblings, and so on, and extended family, and then still balance a work career. Because when you have strife and you have to get up and go to work every day and please someone else so that you can get your paycheck, it's sometimes difficult to do that. You've got so many other things on your mind. You've got maybe close friends and family that are also struggling. So you want to be a shoulder for them, but at the same time, you're leaning on them. So it's like you have to really find balance. Can I be there for my best friend? Can I be there for my family? Can I be there for my husband? And in doing that, still be able to maintain a happy life and not just put on a smile because that's what people expect you to do. So I think at some point, probably well into my 40s, I found that and said, you know what, I really am resilient. I've been able to do that. And that for me is my story. And I thank God for church also. I just want to say I thank God for the church that we have, because without the support of the church, there were times that I probably wouldn't have gone on so successfully as I did. So I thank God for Pastor and SPP.
Thank you very much. So my question before someone else answers, can someone answer what makes you resilient? What makes you resilient?
Being able to withstand the struggles that you may have, gone through or what have you, and just being able to still be able to stand through that and push through it, even though sometimes it's a storm and sometimes it's crazy, but being able to stand and never give up and to keep pushing through whatever it may be, even though sometimes it's very hard.
Anybody else want to elaborate on that as well?
Hi, this is Shalitha. I totally agree with Tracy. Being able to get through situations helps you be resilient. Being able to actually stand up for yourself, being able to stand up, again, like Linda said, to your family, and being able to know who you are as a person and what you expect out of life, that makes you resilient.
Absolutely. And so, Shalitha, now that you said that, when did you recognize the resilience in yourself?
For myself, I realized it at a young age. I lost my mother at a young age. And it was not due to anything, bad. Literally, she just went to sleep and didn't wake up. I was
Mhm.
9 years old, but my father, he taught me how to be the woman that I am today.
Mhm.
And he taught me how to be resilient and to always think of myself and hold myself to a higher level. Because if we don't have a good foundation, I think sometimes we tend to fall by the wayside. But it takes for us to be able to stand and say, you know what, I can do this.
Mhm.
I can move forward. And resiliency is moving forward. So, and that's my personal opinion anyway.
Right.
And that's what I think, for me,
Yeah.
that's where I am.
Thank you very much for that. Anyone else?
I just want to say, I think it's wonderful that she said it's her father that taught her to be resilient. I think that's an exceptional point.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else want to, say? Deshaun?
No, I'm okay. I mean, I'm okay. I'll get too emotional, so I don't want to talk.
It's fine. That's why we're here. It's fine. Believe me. Tears will be shed. It's fine. We're all here, because the bottom line is, let me just say this. The bottom line is we all, I hope, outside of Shannon and Asia, but I believe, and Conda, I believe we've all been through a lot of things in our lives to bring us to this point today. I know that I have. I won't say hell because I don't never want to be there, but I have been in the bottom of the bottom until where God has brought me to today. So, but I don't want to take over and I don't want nobody to say, but Vanessa talked about her whole life. So go ahead, because I'm gonna have my turn. Y'all gonna be like, "Will you shut up, please?" No, but yeah, we're here to talk and be, open and vulnerable and to let people know where you come from and how you came to the point of being resilient.
Just know that this is a safe place.
Absolutely.
No judgment.
So on that note, I would like to share.
Okay. We'll come back to you, Deshaun.
Okay. So one of the things that I discovered today, and looking at the definition, one of the things that stood out for me was the recovery part. To being able to withstand and recover. So thank God we were able to withstand because we're on this side now. But recover is another thing. Like Sister Vanessa said, and Sister Linda, we've all been through things, and I got a story. I've been through some things. I've been through things in church. I've been through things out of church. I've been through things saved and unsaved. But what I found is everybody don't make it back. Everybody doesn't make it to and or through the recovery. Mm-mm. So yes, today I will stand in and say I am resilient because I understand that through my faith in God and, through therapy and just learning to do better, I am and have recovered. I've been homeless. I've been on drugs. And some of this was after I was saved. So let me just be honest. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? But today I am standing. I will say that I am resilient because of God, because of my faith in God. Has it been easy? No. Has it been all roses? No. But I'm here. And because I'm here and because I can share my story, yes, you get choked up. I'm choked up. I was a little leery about sharing it. But what I am sharing, because I am recovered and because God has done it and because I know I ain't the only one. I know that I'm not the only one that has been through things. I know I'm not the only one that may be even going through things now and need to recover. I understand that my situation, whatever it was to teach me, and it wasn't just for me. Because one of the things I remember is being in a lot of situations and saying, God, I wish someone would just talk to me on the real. Keep it 100 with me. I'm just going to be honest. Keep it 100 with me. Tell me what I should be doing or what I did wrong or how I could do things differently. Don't just, put a Band-Aid on it because I don't want to repeat this cycle. So yes, I am grateful for resilience. I am grateful for church. I am grateful for church family. I am grateful for sisters like you because I listened to other people's stories and was able to say, you know, we here in church, God has no respect to person. If he did it for you, he'll do it for me. And I had to latch on to some of those things because I didn't believe it at one point, that I would recover, that I would be worthy of again. So yes, that's a little bit of my sharing. Of getting a little emotional, but I am sharing. Yes, I do feel as though that I am resilient. And today I can say I'm thankful for the recovery. A lot of people don't make it back. You know, some people lose their minds. Some people lose their faith. Some people just lose their way all the way. But I thank God for that. I thank God that I am able to still be here and stand and sharing today. So
Yeah.
that's just a little bit for now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Anybody else?
I just want to say one thing. Remember, God was not perfect. Jesus
Right.
Christ was not perfect. We are not perfect. We are human. I've made mistakes in my life. I think all of us have made mistakes, but we just have to be strong and try to move forward and try to stay strong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just want to speak a little bit about the recovery, Malikata, because there are a lot of people that do recover, right? But they're scarred. Do you understand what I'm saying? And some are blessed where God hasn't left any scars. No scars. There's no scars on the abuse that they've done to themselves. Unless you knew their story, nobody can see that you ever went through anything, you know, unless you know them personally, you know, or they told you their story. The recovery is there, but the scars, some people are scarred, you know, where you can see what they've been through, you know. But so anyone else? Well, I know.
Because that's exactly where I was going to go. I was going to expound on Malikata's mention of the recovery part, because I feel like I've always felt resilient even before I knew what the word meant from a child. Like I always knew that I bounced back like this, from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. But as I began to experience myself, I realized that sometimes throughout that recovery, are we truly recovering, or are we, like what Malika said, covering something up with a Band-Aid? And so I realized, or I found out, when I was truly resilient, when I became resilient towards myself. Something in that definition says toughness. And sometimes you can continuously get through things, but sometimes when we're getting through things, we're covering up the process of going through that healing part, because we could move past things and act as if we don't need to actually sit in them and recover from things for as long as we want, and we can just keep pushing, and then we can look like we're not scarred. We can look like we're good and we're just moving forward. But when you are truly healing, and when you're truly recovering and being that resilient person, accountability has to come in play. And so when I realized I was resilient, it was when I went through this journey of just looking at life completely different. Everything was about me. No matter what I was going through, everything became about me. And in that definition, it says toughness. Sometimes it's tough to find the part you play in what someone has done to you, or an experience that you went through, or how you decided to go through an experience, or how you felt after an experience. And sometimes it could be all types of things. But for me, that accountability allowed me to not only take control. Like I see this on social media a lot, where they say something, I don't remember it verbatim, but not allowing someone to change how you go about the rest of your day. Like I'm not going to let nobody change how I feel. I'm not going to let nobody, mess up my day. That's one thing. But when you are in control of even your own experiences, when you're in control of what you allow yourself to go through, that doesn't have nothing to do with anybody else. That's just you. So when I started to look at life where I made everything about me, what I decide to do, what I experience, what I listen to, what I don't listen to. That's when I felt not only resilient, but in control and powerful over myself and my life and what I went through. Because people, y'all know I could keep going on and on and on and on and on. But people, and there's nothing wrong with this because it's a part of the process and it's a part of becoming that resilient woman. People going through that process as people are discovering their resilience. Sometimes going through that process, we're pointing the fingers the entire time. I'm resilient. I've gotten through this. I've gotten through what this person did to me. I've gotten through what this person put me through. It's just pointing the fingers. I've gotten through all of these things that people have put on my life. That's cool because you're getting through it and that's a part of the process. But we continue to grow, we continue to experience, and as we keep growing, we start to open up even more doors within, that woman that we're becoming. That's all I got for now. I'll probably be back.
And to expand on what you're saying, you know that you're becoming resilient and you're maturing within yourself when you stop saying, they did this to me, they did this to me, they did, because no one can do anything to you unless you allow it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's when the growth starts to come. Like you said, making you happy, doing what's happy for you, tapping into all the things that is going to make you better as a person. But one of those things to me, is stop blaming the other person. Because the other person can't do it to you unless you allow it.
Yep.
Yeah. So come on, let's have a conversation. I see that 17 people on here. I can't see all of your faces. Let's have a conversation.
I just want to piggyback a little bit on the accountability. And even sometimes in that accountability, we try to be perfect. We know that Jesus is the only one. God is the only one who is perfect. He's the only one. So when we learn to accept our responsibility and not point the finger and say, hey, what could I have done differently? You can't change the other person, but I can change my outlook. And like you said, I can control whether or not I allow you to piss me off, whether I allow you to make me feel less than, whether I allow to sit in something that happened to me, definitely as a kid, but something I had no control over. That is the resilience of us as women, as human beings, as women. We are the nurturers, we are the providers, we give that out, so that accountability piece was huge for me in accepting the things that I've done, the things that I've had a part in, and now let's do better. When you know better, let's do better. So yes, definitely be at accountability.
Absolutely.
What about the you know how they say check on your strong friend? What about when people say this? I've seen this before, I felt this before, where people say, I'm tired of being the strong one, right? Does that mean that they're not being resilient? Does the resilient woman get a break? Does the resilient woman get an opportunity to fall?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I had to answer. I just wanted to get it pop.
You know what I was going to say, Asia? I was going to say something too, and I think through friendships and family, you get this thing where you want to please everyone, right? I have to do this because it'll please them and it'll make them happy, but is it making me happy? And I think another part of resilience is finding that balance that, like, I know this is what you want, but this is what I want. That could be with any relationship, whether it be sibling, spouse, parent to child, friend. So I think a part of being resilient is, again, finding the balance of, I want to please you, but I also want to please me. And sometimes I need a break too. And I think also, though, in saying that, I think there's a fine line between where, you say you're strong friends, right? Because I think in my family, I play that role a lot of times, that strong person. You do need a break, but at the same time, you also have to remember the person you always lean on, because I think we tend to lean on the same people all the time. And it's not to say don't do that, because that's the role that we play. And that's a lot of times what we offer up. But I think we just have to be consistent in knowing exactly what you said. A resilient person still needs a break every once in a while. We're all human at the end of the day. We all have feelings. We all have hearts. We may not shed tears the same way. Those that are close to me know I could cry at a commercial. I could cry on anything, but that doesn't mean that when I'm crying, it's not because I'm not really hurt. There is hurt there that sometimes I don't think people recognize. And sometimes it's not hurt. Sometimes you're just tired, physically, emotionally drained. So I think being resilient also is a part of finding a balance in all aspects of your life. You have to find balance.
Right. And like what Malika said in the chat, she said that that's the moment when she gets back up. It's the testament to her resilience. That's where your story comes from. Sometimes that's how you know you're resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Those moments.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to hear someone who does not feel resilient, someone who's in that moment, someone who's just going through some things and just does not feel resilient. Or maybe at one point in my life I felt like I was resilient, but now I'm just at a place where I don't feel I'm a different person. I don't even feel like the same person I was. I'm feeling weak, and because we have those moments.
Absolutely.
I can personally tell you that I have had those moments. And when I use the word resilience, like I talk about my dad, and my dad always said, only you can change your future. So for myself, growing up, I had a child at a very young age. And the only way to be resilient is to make changes in my life. I had to be a better person for me and for my child. And so sometimes, resiliency is change. I'm getting very emotional. I'm about to cry. Oh my goodness. But yeah, resiliency is change because, how are you going to move forward? How are you going to get out of the situation that you put yourself in?
Mm-hmm.
As your parents used to say, oh, you made your bed, now you have to lie in it. But how do I move forward from that? Because that's a difficult situation. I've put myself in this crazy situation. Then how do I move forward? How do I make myself a better person? And you know what? It's work. It's change. It's then saying, you know what? I can do better.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
it's also having that support system. You got to have a good support system, whether it's your church family or whoever. You got to have a support system.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I agree.
You have to learn how to lean on your support system, because
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I struggle with, leaning on my support system. Just a little bit of my background, because when the question was just asked, I believe by Asia, do we have any no's? It's not a no, but I just began to start feeling resilient. I have not always felt resilient, so I don't know if that's a no or what, but I just began not long ago to start feeling that, to start putting me first, to start allowing myself to be able to say no, being able to just stand on my own and not allow my children or friendships or other things to move me in a way that is not that's detrimental to me. So I just became resilient not long ago. So, but I thank God for it. And just as she was saying, the support system, just learn how to lean on your support system.
I want to piggyback on that, because just like what Asia asked, it's not that I'm not resilient. I've been resilient all my life. It's like sometimes I want to not be. It's like I've been doing stuff by myself all the time. I haven't leaned on my support system. And then sometimes it's like, dang, I want to just soak in this. Like, I just want to be, I don't want to do anything. I want to be weak right now because I'm used to just keep doing stuff. And then that's when you have to lean on your support system, because it's not like no one's there. You're just not used to using these people to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, that's where I'm at. It's like, I keep doing things, but then it's like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. So let someone help me for once.
Yeah.
It's like, that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I experienced something similar to that like a few years ago when my husband passed, and then I lost my job. Oh God, what is this going on? And I had to lean on my friends, my church, my family to help get me through this. Oh goodness, I'm sorry.
It's fine, Rebecca. It's fine. We're here to listen, to support, to encourage, to uplift, to this is what this is about.
And we're here to be there for each other.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But I know if I didn't have my family, my friends, and my church, you know, it would have been it would have been very hard. But I did get through it, you know, through the help of, you know, everyone. You know, I did get through it. So, whew, yeah. I'm in a better place now.
Right. Deep breaths, deep breaths.
Yeah. Deep breath.
Yeah, you got through it.
I would say it's like NA and it's like, you know, AA. You have to take it one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. You have to be there for yourself. You got to think about yourself and you got to want to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. You know what I would say I think happens a lot of times is that people, all of us, you know, we have this way of automatically judging in a way that you look at someone and you imagine like, you think you know what their life is, you know, or you imagine like it's so perfect for them, you know, they don't have a struggle, they don't have a story, you know, everything must be fine. I mean, I can say I've personally experienced that for sure. And, you know, sometimes when people find out what's going on behind the scenes, they're so taken back, you know, like, really? But it's like, listen, you know, you and I can have so much in common. It's just, we just haven't had that conversation. So you don't know about it. So you have no idea what I've gone through. You know, I mean, if I get really personal, and I mean, and there's a couple people on here that know, I mean, if I go deep, you know, my mother beat the crap out of me when she found out who I was dating. I'm talking about like physically several times. So when you talk about emotions, you know, I was a kid. And then when you think about like resilience, like people would say like, oh, you're just continuing in that relationship because, you know, you want to go against your parents. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. Because if you knew, you know, what I really went through, I mean, and people get beat, you know, kids get beat, but I never got hit. I never got hit my entire life until I did that. And it wasn't once, it was several times. And I'm talking about as a 16-year-old, you know, someone really like, because they're not agreeing with your situation. So like you think about, you think you know what someone's gone through and you say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But when you dive deep into what's really in someone's heart and what's in their mind, you don't know. And then going into your 50th year of life and thinking sometimes those things still resurface. You have to really, like you say, have a support system, have people you can lean on, have people that have sound advice, not just people that are going to agree with you and just, you know, yes, 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 do it. Really make really good suggestions for you, or even just have a listening ear. So as I started to say, people just tend to judge us and think perfect life, everything is fine, you're always smiling, you're always happy, but you don't really know somebody else's story. And so like Sister Vanell said in the beginning, she has her own story, you know, and maybe someone else looks at her and says, oh my God, she's a successful singing artist and she's got this beautiful family and whatever, but you don't know, maybe there's something deep inside her that she hasn't shared with you yet. I think this platform here allows us an opportunity to give a little light into what people may not know about you and why you are who you are, what makes you who you are. You know, sometimes you just have to give a little bit for someone to say, wow, I had no idea. And it's sad that you have to do that, because I think we should be more open to what other stories might be. And it reminds me of when they say, like, just be kind to someone because you never know what kind of day they're having, or you never know what's inside. And Sister Tracy and I shared a car ride a couple of weeks ago, and I was starting to tell her something that was super, super sensitive to me that involved my mother. And she then told me something she was going through as a mother. So we were both going through the same strife, mother and daughter at the same time, having not shared it prior to that car ride. And it's like you take a moment and sit back and say, wow, I thought I was suffering, but she's suffering. So I say that to say, you know, just have your heart open all the time, because one thing you say might really affect someone in a really positive way and just lift them just a little bit, because she definitely lifts me in a lot of our car rides, for sure.
Thank you for that. Someone, Linda, someone posted a question. Sometimes if what my dreams and hopes are not coming to pass as I see them, and you're going through doubt, are you still resilient?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, because maybe it's just not your timing. Maybe
Right.
even though you have these hopes and dreams, maybe it's just not your time. And if you just keep pushing through them, the bottom line is you just keep pushing, even though sometimes it doesn't look like it's going to happen, even though sometimes you seem like you're failing, even though sometimes it's like, oh, okay, how many times I'm going to have to keep trying this? How many times, how can I put this into play? You just keep pushing. You just keep pushing through it. And it still makes you resilient, because you don't give up.
And
It's
what's
not-
that? I'm sorry, what's that? I don't know if it's scripture or not, or it's just a saying like everything is not for you, you know, like, just because you want it doesn't mean it's for you. So it
Right.
might be your hope, it might be a dream, but
May not be
Right.
not it's not for you. It might be it's not the time that, because everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
Mhm.
Everything happens with it. So it may not be that it's not for you, because it's not all the time that it's not for you. That's
Mhm.
what I feel anyway. I feel like that it happens when it's the right time, when you are ready for it.
Mhm.
When you personally are ready for it. Because a lot of times we ask for things and we're really not ready for it.
Mhm.
And sometimes he's clearing things out. Sometimes he's clearing other things out so that you can be able to focus on your hopes and dreams. Just because it's not happening right away does not mean that you're not resilient. Just, the bottom line is, just like I said, is to hold on, to keep pushing through it, and just allow God to just move and let that be part of your prayer. If you don't have a prayer, just ask God, just talk to him and just ask God to lead you and guide you through those hope and dreams, and wait on him.
Mhm.
Wait on him and
100%.
trust the process, because our process is not his process.
Mhm.
Tracy, I totally agree with you. I believe that we plan, but God plans. And it's not how we plan it all the time. We have to walk with God, and God will let us know what his plan is for us.
Mhm.
Right. And it doesn't mean that you failed. It doesn't mean that, it's not going to happen. It doesn't mean that. It means just wait. Wait on him.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's why it took me almost 2 years to get a job. Because I was definitely waiting, I was trying, and I was like, because at one point I was like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? I kept redoing my resume thinking that it wasn't right, but it, like you said, it wasn't the right time. And those jobs that I was trying to get before, it wasn't the job for me.
And it's not just waiting on him, because sometimes we just wait and we do nothing.
Right. I didn't wait to do nothing, honey, but I was like, where are you?
I'm not saying you, but sometimes waiting does not mean not to do anything, because you can still push through. You can still just have a prayer life. Just make sure that you still doing the right things. And, I just believe that God will see it through, long as you just never give up and just keep trusting the process is what works for me.
And to go back to the question, like it's asking, are you not resilient because the plans and hopes are not coming through as you thought they would? To answer that, I would say no. You are still resilient so long as you're still doing the work, so long as you're still flexible, because being resilient is also about being flexible and springing back from something. So if your hopes and dreams and whatever it may be that you see in front of you is not happening at that moment, and you don't just become idle and shut down, you're still resilient. You're still moving forward. So long as you're doing that, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think the main word in that.
Oh, go on.
Sorry. The main word in that question was, as far as the dreams and hopes are not coming true, but what about when I'm doubtful? Kind of similar to what I was asking before. So it's like, what if I'm doubtful that it's even going to happen? That doubt, that not feeling, kind of like what Shannon asked, like not feeling resilient. And I think that sometimes all the time, we have to be we have to give ourselves compassion. We have to be self-compassionate. We have to be kind to ourselves and be fair with ourselves. Mm-hmm. Sometimes this resilient woman title puts a lot on us. Sometimes we feel like we are super women, but when it comes to being a superwoman, we still have to show compassion to ourselves, and we still have to, like you said earlier, we're allowed to have a break, we're allowed to fall, we're allowed to fail, we're allowed to, not feel strong today. And I think that sometimes it's like trying to be that woman. It's like we need to find a middle ground. We have to show compassion to ourselves and find a middle ground, so that we're not being too hard on ourselves and allowing ourselves to go through things, so that we do have that testament, as Malika said earlier.
I think it's the difference between being invincible or considering yourself invincible and considering yourself resilient.
Yep.
Right. Ask the question, if the question is, if I'm doubting, am I weak in my faith?
I think we're all weak in our faith at times.
I was going to say that.
Because if we truly had, there would be no doubt if we were truly faithful.
Yeah,
because faith is what? What's the definition of faith?
faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen.
So faith is you don't, she said it. I feel like we're all weak in our faith at times, and it's nothing
And you
wrong
can
with
find that
we
in
can feel
Hebrews 11:1.
Thank you. Deshawn,
Yes.
you ready to share?
Come on, Deshawn.
Thank you for joining us, Delilah. Thank you for joining us, Nakia.
We just miss you, Deshawn.
I agree with everybody that's on the panel. As a child growing up, it was a struggle for me. Because both of my parents was addicted to drugs. So my grandmother raised me. So as a child, I always been resilient to be strong, to always say that I would never do drugs, or I would never deal with anyone that indulge in drugs, because I saw what it did to my parents.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's
Don't
fine.
be sorry. Don't be sorry.
This is what we're here for. We're here to pour out, empty out, empty out.
So my grandmother, she raised me and my brother. She didn't have much at the time she was working. She was only making minimum wage. So I had to grow up fast. At the age of 14 was my first job to help my grandmother raise me and my brother. So I grew up pretty fast in the streets. And then a couple of weeks ago, I just buried my grandmother. So it's kind of hard for me.
Understood.
My weakest thing, even though I said I would never do drugs, I ran to alcohol, and I went into a deep depression, because it's like everyone that I love was passing away with my parents. And then a couple of years ago, I lost my husband. And it's like every time I lose someone, I went to alcohol, and I just was praying to God just to continue to take that taste out of my mouth, because I built up a wall to where nobody knew what I was going through. I wouldn't talk to nobody about what I was going through, because I was that superwoman that everybody depended on, and I couldn't let anybody down. So it's still kind of hard for me. I'm praying today that God continue to keep that taste out of my mouth, because do I want to drink now? Yes, I do. Because that's all I ever knew, was I lost someone that was close to me.
Understood. But you know what? This is what I will say. Everything happens for a reason. And this round table was a good thing for all of us today, and especially you, because it allowed you to open up. It allowed you to say how you feel. It allowed you to have us sisters around you to say, everything is going to be all right. It's going to get better. We've all subjected ourselves to something at one point or another. May it be because of loss of life, may it be because of loss of a relationship, a job, like anything. We all have subjected ourselves to something. Mm-hmm. Yours just so happened to be alcohol. Mine might be drugs. Mine might be alcohol and drugs at one point. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's nothing. This is the point. This is where we empty out, so that we can start getting some relief and start what's the word that I'm looking for? Somebody help me.
Healing,
help me.
maybe some healing.
Healing, start, all of those things. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the thing is, you're not alone. Even though you may feel alone, sometimes we put ourselves in a space to be alone, because we're never alone. There's somebody, but you said it. You said that you always was the strong one, the resilient one. So everybody's looking to you, you know what I'm saying, for strength. But sometimes, like Asia and Shannon said, sometimes give all of that up. Fall in somebody's arms that's there for you. You know, fall in their arms. Let them know I need you. Outside, you know, you pray, you asking God you need, you know, God knows you need him. But if it's someone that you can lean on them if they're there for you. Sometimes you have to get, you know, like they said, sometimes you have to break that wall down and just, I surrender. You know, a good cry, a good hug. You know what I mean? Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need that. You
And
know?
her resilience is showing by the fact that you got on the line, that you got on the Zoom today, because you could have easily just, I'm not, you know, maybe had a drink, you know, maybe said, oh, I'm not joining today. You know, that shows your resilience right there.
Right. That is resilience.
Yeah,
That is
because when you're not resilient and you don't want to be accountable, you don't want to hear nothing like this. You don't want no parts of it. You don't want to hear nobody talking about it. You don't want to hear about it. You want no parts. So this is just all a part of the journey.
Absolutely, it is.
You are the resilience of women. You are the definition of it. You are the resilience of women. Know that. Embrace that. Eat that. You are the resilience of women. You are resilient.
Absolutely. Without a doubt, you are. And thank you for sharing. And we're going to be praying with you and for you.
Thank you.
And God's going to bring you through it. He's going to bring you through it. He's definitely going to bring you through it. Is there someone else that would like to share?
Maybe one of our guests.
Got this. Somebody say, you got this, Deshawn.
Thank you.
Yeah. Someone else? We have 22 people on the line. Thank you for joining. Someone else would like to share what the meaning of being a resilient is? That was the question that we first started with, the meaning of being resilient.
Well, I want to say who I think is resilient. I invited a resilient young lady on the line today, and her name is Sade Gant. And she's probably not going to speak, but she's on. And I just wanted to thank her and her mom for getting on. And I think that she's a resilient person with not getting too much into her own story. But I chose to ask her to come to this this panel because I think she's a resilient young woman. She's a 33-year-old with a 15-year-old daughter and about to have another child who's getting ready to get her master's. And I just think an all around bright young lady. And I just think she's a resilient lady. And I thank her mom for raising her to be a resilient woman.
Awesome. Well, anyone else? I see you smiling, Delilah. Anybody else?
You know, I want to say one other thing. I think it's important as women that you don't compare yourself to anyone else or try to live up to anybody else or what they do. Because I think when you do that, you're setting yourself up for failure because your success is your own, you know, so while, you know, or we all applaud, you know, those that have degrees on top of degrees, because that's amazing. But that doesn't define, you know, just who you are. Some people don't have that opportunity, or some people may have, you know, a job where they're making, say, minimum wage versus someone who's a salaried and 3-figured employee. It doesn't make one or the other any better than the other. So like your lifestyle, your schooling, your home, it doesn't define you, and it doesn't make you any better or greater or less than anybody else. So I think it's important that you just accept who you are. If you're at your best, if that's your best, you know, then accept that. And that is your best. And don't try to live up to somebody else's standards or what else somebody else is doing. Because I think sometimes we get tripped up in that, you know, when you hear somebody's story and someone like Deshawn is sharing what her upbringing is, and it immediately reminded me of my brother. My brother's been an addict for over 30 years, and it crippled my family because he was the perfect Italian little boy growing up and played every sport, and he was everything to my family. And when I say it crippled us, you know, he's still an addict, and he's texting me while we're on this call. And, you know, my close friends know what is he doing? He's asking me to get him an Uber because he doesn't even have a job, you know, so get me an Uber. So, I mean, we all have struggles. We all have things we go through. So I just say again, like, your resilience is the ability just to be, you know, you can spring back, and you can, you know, just whatever you're going through, just be able to get through it. But don't forget, like I think Tracy said, don't forget to lean on somebody and ask for help.
Thank you. Nakia, you see your hand is up?
Yes, I did. I was like, let me use what we use on my job. But I think someone just asked that question in the thing, is resilience a choice? And it's not necessarily a choice. I'm gonna tie this into what I wanted to say from before. Resilience it's one of your natural reactions when you are experiencing something that takes you outside of what you would consider your norm, right? And it's a natural reaction, it's a natural emotion, it's a natural feeling, it's a natural state of being, because the only thing you know that you need to do is I need to recover. So when you are resilient, it's as if you're entering into a mode of recovery so that you can bounce back quicker, as opposed to staying in a state of being that actually would not be conducive for the rest of your life, right? So
Right.
for us, when we are resilient as women, when we are resilient as people, when we are resilient as a population, what we're basically saying is that we have the ability to bounce back. And a lot of the times what begins to happen is that even for my own self, I felt resilient, but I also felt as if I wasn't bouncing back quick enough, right? Because there always is still something lingering in the background. There's always something lingering in your thoughts, because resiliency does not mean that you're not going to remember. It just means that you're going to recover. But even in the process of recovering, you're still going to remember the trauma. You're going to remember the situation. You're going to remember the pain. You're going to remember the hurt. So how do I still be resilient and then also deal with the memory and the feeling that whatever it was caused? And then that's when I began to learn that I had to replace certain triggers with something that's positive, right? Like for me, crazy that I was given this call information today, but like 4 years ago today is when I found out I was pregnant. And then almost a month later, I miscarried, right? So for me, a day like today is a day of joy, because it's the remembrance of the fact that something that man said was impossible, God said, no, I'm going to help you. You're going to create life, right? So you're going to conceive. But in a month later, I then miscarried, right? So to me, it's like today is like a joyous day, but then I remember that I still have yet to really give birth. So it's joyous, but it's also painful at the same time. How do I reverse that ability to still bounce back and still be strong and still be able to live on each and every day? Now I got to replace the memory of the pain with something that is joyous. So now every April 24th, which was the day I miscarried, I replaced that memory with something great. Why? Because I released my first book on my own, right? And a lot of the times that's part of how, you know, we continuously be resilient. That's how we live a resilient life, because we're always going to remember, but there is a way in which we can replace that memory with something positive and then be able to drive off of that type of energy to keep us propelled to push forward within our life. So I think like this is great platform. I love it. Thank you. And thank y'all for even opening up the floor. But it's something that I'm constantly working towards every single day of my life. How to continuously recover, how to continuously bounce back, how to continuously move forward, and to build that type of legacy for myself. And even for those that are connected to me, because everyone always says, oh my God, Nakia, you're so strong. Oh my God. And I'm like, you have no idea. Some days it's hard for me to even get out the bed, right? But no one would know that, because all you see is a smile, but you don't know what it took for me to even get to that point of a smile. That's your resiliency as a woman. That's your ability to bounce back. That's your ability to move forward despite or in spite of how you even feel.
Thank you so much for sharing. Someone, I believe it was Delilah, asked in the chat, is resilience a choice?
I think so.
Well, for me, like Nakia just said, it's like survival. And so unless you just want to completely give up, you have no other choice but to be resilient, unless you're planning on just throwing up your hands and saying, I give up. Now, that's just
getting stepped on.
Opinion. I think that, like she said, it's surviving, because
I agree.
you know, without being resilient, what would we do? We would, like she said, we wouldn't get up in the morning. We would give up. We wouldn't fight anymore. It would just be, I'm just gonna be until I can't. You know, I'm just gonna exist until I can't exist anymore.
Mhm.
You know, I think that resilience should be a choice.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
it should
think,
be a choice. Someone was getting ready to say, go ahead.
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I think, oh, sorry,
I don't know who's talking.
that was me, Asia.
Oh, Asia. Okay, go on.
I think that resilience is natural. I agree with what Nakia said. I think it's a natural ability. I think that we get caught up in what resilience looks like, and that's why sometimes we don't know that we're resilient. That's why I'm glad we started the conversation with the definition, and we left it there and got to talking. But sometimes when you start to speak about your personal experiences and you hear other people's personal experiences, you hear what they went through, how they got through it, we get caught up in that. And sometimes someone else's resilience does not look or feel like yours. And so we get caught up in that, and we don't even know that we're resilient. I think that we naturally, like I said when I started, I've been resilient since I knew what it meant, since I was a child. You know, I bounced back from anything, from a bully, from a bad grade, from a whatever. You know, I believe that we are naturally resilient. But what all of this conversation is coming from is what happens after that. You know, that journey. You know, what we decide to do after we're resilient. Like Nakia mentioned, she mentioned overriding those negative thoughts with something positive. I had mentioned earlier about being accountable and looking at life now as far as forget about what was done to me. What did I do? What was my response? Point the finger back at yourself. Just moving forward that journey. So I think that that's kind of like what differentiates us. And like I said, just not looking at other people's journeys or their experiences, or what you said, Renee, when you said that sometimes you can't see people's scars. And I would think that for most resilient people, you wouldn't see that, you know, for some people, you wouldn't see that, you know, so I just think that it is our natural ability to bounce back. But as far as our mindset and the way we move forward is what is most important after the fact.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
Yes, I would like to say that I think Asia said it best when she said, what's next? What does that look like? And as I was listening, and I put in a comment, regeneration is what has to come next. And the word regenerate means to, I don't know if you guys can see it, regrow, to replace lost or injured tissue. So there are many times when we've lost something, when things are disconnected, when they've broken off, when they've scarred, when they've seemed like it's not even connected to us anymore, when we can't even feel it, it's almost like it's numbing us. It's a regrowing, a regeneration has to take place. We have to, that's the next step from where we are. That's the next step from resilience, because we all go through a moment of, and I think the question was very well put, is it necessary? Is it something that you have to do? Yes. For survival, you have to be resilient. You have to be able to bounce back. You have to be able to overcome. You can't stay in the place where you are. And in order to overcome, you've got to regenerate. You got to regrow. You got to replace. And I think what Nakia and Asia just said, how you regrow, how you replace, is totally up to you. What you replace it with, you can take the day that used to be sadness and now make it joy. You can take the thing that used to cause tears and turn it around into thanking God that I'm no longer in that place. Instead of it always causing you a heartache, it's now, okay, I'm thankful that that day, that year, that month, I was balled up in a knot crying. But today, I can stand and say, I'm not where I used to be. I'm not where, and it's the old saying we say all the time, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And so it's imperative that regeneration takes place.
Anybody else would like to share? Well, for me, I wasn't always resilient. You might have looked at me and thought that I was, but I wasn't. I was broken. I was literally crumbled up like a piece of paper. But when you saw me, I was like this, hey y'all, how you doing? But I wasn't resilient. I was holding on. I was trying to find my way, trying to figure out, you know, you go through, what did I do wrong? How did I do it wrong? I could have done it better. Why is this happening to me? All of those things that your mind takes you on a whole roller coaster, insecurity, all kinds of things. And so for a long time, I guess because you have to survive. So I guess I was resilient, but I didn't feel resilient. I didn't feel whole. I didn't feel complete. I didn't feel happy, you know? There was so many things that, and I can't give them to you all because I want y'all to buy my book whenever I decide to write down.
I'm talking too much then.
Me too, Asia. I gave it up.
I'm gonna write your book one day.
I've been through, like I said, the valley, man. I was in the gutter for a long time. And everybody's gutter is different, you know? But I was in the gutter for a long time. And then when you think you're out physically, but mentally, you're still in the gutter.
Amen.
You know, you're still in the gutter, even though you're no longer in the gutter. Your mind, you know, hasn't come out of the gutter. Your spirit, your thoughts, your ability to think of yourself as something special takes a long time. And I think I'm there today, but I always haven't been. And so when you get those people that say, I didn't like you when I first met you. I didn't like me I probably didn't like myself when you first met me. You know?
Preach for now, preach.
I probably didn't like myself, you know? At that point, I probably was looking at me saying, I can't stand you, while you busy saying it. We were in agreement, you know? But I thank God today that I'm whole and I'm complete. And back to what Malikaton said, it's a journey, but I have vowed never to turn around. I have vowed to never allow anything to consume me to the point of crushing me again, to the point of making me feel like I'm nothing. I will never allow that to happen to me again. I say all the time to younger women that I talk to, or some my age, my mother used to say to me all the time, look in the mirror and tell yourself you love you. I love you. I love you, Vanell. I love, you know, you fabulous. I talk to, I still to this day, I tell myself, you are, I do just like this. Wink at myself and be like, hey girl, you know, I'm serious. I'm not joking.
I know you're serious.
I'm serious, because you have to pour that in yourself. You have to continue, because for me, There's so many things. I have so many life issues, right? Your family life, your job life, your everything. You know, your still your dreams, your aspirations, things that you still want to do that are not coming as you want them to come. And so you still have to continue to pour in to you. So I've been pouring, and I can still to this day, I still pour into me. I still tell me that I am beautiful. I am this and I am that. Whatever I want for me, I continue to say it to myself every day. Every morning I wink at myself and say, girl, you so pretty. Every morning.
I gotta start adding the wink.
Yeah, gotta add the wink. Hey, girl.
I gotta wink.
You gotta add the wink, girl. Hey.
I want to say that just because, and I was gonna respond to something you said in the beginning, but then you said something else. Just because you have not regenerated yet does not mean you were not resilient. Just because you're not whole yet doesn't mean that you weren't resilient. The resilient part passed. Now this is that next process that Pastor was talking about. So I think, again, and what reminds us of that is always remembering not to, because we don't know, we know what something is sometimes by comparing it to where we see it in other people. So not getting caught up on what we think being resilient looks and feels like, because you could be on your journey, but that just because you have not gotten it yet does not mean that you are not resilient and that you did not bounce back from. Bounce back could be a simple feeling, like a simple feeling of it is what it is. It is what it is. Now you have not healed yet, you have not recovered yet, but it is what it is. I just went through that. It is what it is.
I can't put no more in it. Right. Now you start your journey of recovering or your journey of healing, you know, giving yourself that self-compassion or regenerating. So I say don't get caught up in where you are in the process, and give yourself credit for just being where you are, wherever you are in your journey. Right, because some people didn't even make it this far. Mm-hmm. You know, some people, may it be man or woman, hasn't made it this far. Some people gave up. So be thankful that we've made it this far. Someone said to you who are 40, I guess 40 years and under, what would you say to help with those 25 and under, their moments of not feeling resilient or not knowing where to start the regrowth?
You already started. I would say if you balled up in the corner crying, that's the beginning of your journey. Like we look at healing as something that always feels good. Healing doesn't always feel good. Sometimes healing is pain. Sometimes healing is crying. Sometimes healing, that's the beginning of that process. And sometimes it's not even the beginning. Sometimes you have started your process and you're on your way and you have a breakdown, like what I asked earlier. That you've already started your process. So I think it's, first of all, believing that you are resilient, because you can't be something that you don't think that you are. So knowing that you are, and then that gives you the power to move forward through the hard parts of the healing process, the parts of the healing process that don't feel good. We're always looking to feel good. We're always looking to be smiling. And sometimes we cover up how we really feel with a laugh or a smile. And sometimes we just got to let it be. Sit in the corner and cry. Don't be happy today. Let it be. That's all a part of your journey and your process. So, and then when you feel that way, I'm telling you, you will feel so powerful, because why do we hide tears with a laugh? It's not for ourselves, it's for other people. If we were by ourselves, we wouldn't worry about looking weak or feeling weak. So when you no longer care about, or you're not worried about, you know, what other people are looking at when it comes to what part of your journey you're in, you will feel in control of yourself. Some people think they're in control because they don't let nothing bother them, but that's just not seeing those stars, not seeing how people feel. Shannon just keeps commenting and it's messing me up. It keeps popping up. No, but I think that when we get caught up in that, oh no, that's not where I was going. Where I was going was when you feel powerful enough to be where you are in your journey, that's the strength and power that you need when you have those bad moments, or when you're in the healing process, or part of the healing process that does not feel good.
Yeah.
I think it also fits with allowing yourself to feel. A lot of the times we don't know how to allow ourselves to feel how we feel and give ourselves permission to feel what we are feeling. Like a lot of times, like on my podcast, I talk about a lot of things concerning mental health a lot, because it was something that was extremely important to me, because when I suffered from, and as I continue to suffer through PTSD with signs of depression and anxiety, one of the things that I kept trying to do was cover it up, right? And kind of like what you just said, Asia, with regards to just putting on a smile, just a smile, so that no one knows exactly how you feel. Walking into a place being extremely bubbly when deep down inside, that is not exactly how I felt in that moment. But because, I want to be cognizant of everyone else's feelings and emotions, therefore, let me just put on this face so that I can give the impression as if I'm okay, even though I'm not okay. And one of the things that I learned how to do was I had to learn how to allow myself to feel how I was feeling, and say that it is okay for me to have those feelings. And no, I'm not weak because I have these feelings. No, I'm not doubtful because I have these feelings. No, I'm not doubtful because I'm going through these emotions. I'm yet and still resilient because I'm still allowing myself to get up every day. I'm still allowing myself to push forward every day. I'm still allowing myself to press towards the mark. And I'm still allowing myself to even lift up my head and look towards the sky and understand exactly where my help is really and truly coming from. So if I allow myself to be regenerated in that way, right? Because a lot of, I don't know if anybody's Baptist, but in a good Baptist church, you are definitely taught all of the articles of faith. And part of that is understanding the regeneration through Christ, right? So a lot of the times when we fully understand the regeneration through Christ, you begin to understand that once you take off that old man and you then put on that new man, you already have become a new creation. So when you go through things in life to where now that old you, I had to really say, okay, the old me doesn't exist anymore. That old Nakia, she's not here anymore. That Nakia pre-trauma, pre-PTSD, pre-her, she doesn't exist anymore. And I had to welcome and embrace who I am today and be able to walk in it and be able to talk about it freely, right? And be able to feel empowered about it, to then look down and look back to those that are younger and give them the advice to say, listen, it is okay, because we're all going to experience the ups and downs and the traumas of life. This is what is going to happen. I can tell you what happened to me, and I can give you the necessary tools that I use in order to make it through. I can also tell you the things in which I ignored. I am very much so open about, within my own testimony, the signs in which I ignored, the things in which I allowed to happen, the things in which, if I was potentially a little bit stronger, would not have went down the way they went down. And then also, if I truly valued myself and then at that time, then of course it wouldn't have went down, right? And one of the things, Vernell, you said, which was so powerful, was the fact that one of the things that my mother said to me one day after everything was said and done, and she called me and she was like, Nakia, I really need to talk to you. And I said, okay. She first started off with an apology because she wanted to apologize for my youth, because she felt that a lot of the things that I went through was because of the things that I experienced as a child. And I told her, Mom, we ain't got to go to the 5-year-old us, because I'm a 5-year-old me is okay, right? But she felt the need to apologize to make amends for the things in which we witnessed and the things in which we saw. Then she said, number 2, I think you need to understand that you are a powerful woman and you are a valuable woman. And the minute you begin to recognize and hone in on your worth and hone in on your value, you're going to be a force to reckon with. And at that time, I wasn't really in the place to hear it because I was so downtrodden. But as the years, I'm like 4 years post everything, have gone on, and especially within these last, I'm gonna say like 2 years, I literally had to retransform myself to know, like, yo, you valuable. Like, right. You're worthy. You deserve the best. You are the apple of God's eye. You are victorious. You are a mighty woman of God. You are like, and I literally had to like sit there and literally encourage myself to understand you are virtuous. You are far more precious than rubies, right? And go through that entire process. And then what I had realized, I said, okay, I'm going through this process. And then we all got hit with COVID. So everybody was locked in, right? So now you're putting on this COVID-20. And then that was when I reached out to my friend, I reached out to Doni, and I was like, okay, I got to make a change in my life because something has to give. All right. And now I needed to start to do some more internal work because I don't think people realize the medicine that actually getting up and training and working out begins to help you even on the inside as you begin to transform on the outside. You know, working out then becomes extremely therapeutic because now you're pushing yourself beyond a limit that you thought that you had within your own being, right? My body can't do this. And then you start realizing, oh snap, my body's doing something that I thought it couldn't do, right? And then your mind begins to transform. Why? Because now you're beginning to balance out your hormone levels, right? So now you're not feeling as depressed, you're not feeling as anxious, you're not eating all the wrong foods. People don't even understand, like a lot of this stuff with the sugar and the carbs, all that stuff plays on your mental. And I had to begin to literally transform. And once I made that decision to say, you know what, I'm gonna commit to this entire process, not just, you know, speaking to myself, speaking words of affirmation over myself, but now I gotta change how I'm living. And once I committed to that entire process, and it's been like almost 2 years now, I'm like, and that's what I speak to the younger generation. There comes a time when you have to understand that there's something has to change within yourself. And until you're ready to embrace that change, you might continue in a cycle. But I'm still here to help you through the cycle that you're in, and we're gonna get through it. But it's all gonna start with a mind change, and that to me is one of the best things I think that I decided to do, which was change my mind. I had to change my mindset, and that literally all started with recognizing that I needed to grow.
So that's awesome. Someone asked a question, why does people say it is what it is?
That's like a defense mechanism, and that's a wall. So a lot of times when you hear that it is what it is, that's a wall, because a lot of the times they don't want change. So you hear that, well, it is just what it is, or I am who I am. That's a defense mechanism, and it's a wall that people place up so that they don't have to break down the barrier of themselves.
Or I think
it's a comment that Sade, I actually asked the question, why is that her favorite motto? It is what it is, to Sade.
That's a favorite motto of mine, because I just came to a point in my life where it really just became it is what it is. I have no control over anyone else's actions. And we don't have much control over a lot of situations or circumstances that happen. Although we may think that we do, we don't have that much control. We can really only control what we can directly affect. And, you know, for me, that motto is just like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It happened. So now what am I going to do next to make it better for me? So that's why that's my favorite motto, because, and I'll tell anybody that knows me knows I'm quick to say, listen, it is what it is. I'm not at that point. When I get to that point, I'm no longer putting my energy into it. Because that if I get to that point, that means that is more of a negative energy, is taking more from me than what I'm receiving. Mm-hmm. And to get me to that point, it means that I have to choose myself. And I finally got to that point in life where if a circumstance or a person makes me feel like I have to choose me or you, I'm going to choose me, because I haven't for so long. So it is what it is.
Hey,
Thank you for explaining
absolutely
that, because in most cases, it is perceived as a negative mindset. It is what it is. And so I asked you the question, and I'm glad that you gave your perception of it, because from the way you explained it, I totally agree that it is what it is, but now I'm going to do what I need to do to move forward. I'm going to do what I need to do that works best for me. In most cases, it is what it is perceived negatively. Thank you for explaining that.
Well, go on, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to piggyback off that. I was going to say, I think the most important part is just not staying in that place. And, Sade, she mentioned that as far as control, when I think of it is what it is, I'm thinking about the things that I'm not in control of. Like I said earlier, I'm in this journey of pointing the finger at myself. So working on things that I can change, and being accountable strictly for myself, and not, pointing it at what an experience or a person or a thing, how it made me feel. Just working on myself. So what I cannot control is what it is, but it doesn't stop there. Accountability comes from, I then become accountable for myself.
Well, ladies, is there anybody else that want to share? If not, we thank you all so much for joining. Let's give each other a hand. We, the panel, really are grateful and thankful that you guys joined us today for our first roundtable. This is not our last, and we will be doing this again very soon. We will be reaching out to you all. Until then, I want us to all stay strong, knowing that we are unbelievably phenomenal. We are everything. We are anything that you can think of good, we are. Put it that way, right?
Right.
And so let's keep that, let's stay strong. Let's continue to pray for one another. Let's continue to lift each other up, give each other a call. If we don't know each other personally, just, say a prayer, and for strength, for guidance. Yeah, so let's do that, okay? And I thank you all. We're going to, I'm going to say a little prayer before we leave, and then we'll let you go, okay? Father, in the name of Jesus, God, we thank you for this day, Father. We thank you for allowing us to all gather today, God. We thank you for allowing everyone to share today, God. We thank you for your peace, your mercy, your grace, your love, your kindness, oh God. We thank you for choosing every last one of us that's on this line today, God. You know what we all stand in the need of, Father. So we ask you right now, if it's your will, God, do it for us, oh God. Deliver us, set free, anything that is that we need, God. We're asking you to do it for us because you said, ask and it shall be given. And so we're asking you to do it today, God. And so we thank you for doing it already. We're going to walk in it, God. We ask you right now just to uplift us, oh God. Bring joy, bring peace, bring love, bring happiness, oh God, within our spirits, within our homes, on our jobs, in our personal lives, wherever it may be, God. Let us be happy and grateful and secure in you, God. We thank you for all these things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk again soon.
Bye, ladies.
Thank you.
Name of the church is Secret Place of Praise. Amina, we see your comment. It's Secret Place of Praise. Someone please send her the information in the chat so she can join us.
Oh, you got it, Asia. Okay.
Asia, can you also put that on the Facebook thing?
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry. I don't know who Galaxy Note 10 is. We're ending now.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.